Yeah, man. What I
That's
was
hot
saying,
shit
man.
right there,
You know what I'm
man.
saying? So what we gonna do?
We want you to be an activist. And don't take our word for it. Look that shit up. Pulley. News networks are not even getting clicks like that. So this shows like there's an opportunity for this, what we're doing here on this show. Wait, I want to hear this. Give me a second. Let me hear this.
In the year 1600 to 1800, Russia never had black slaves, nor did Russia create a market to trade black people. In 1884, Russia never participated in the Berlin Conference to share Africa like some piece of goat meat. Between the year of 1914 to 1960, Russia never colonized, underdeveloped, and looted Africa's resources. Russia never enabled a safety net for African leaders to hide stolen funds, use these stolen funds to develop itself, and then grant the same funds back to Africa as loans. Russia never invaded and destabilized any African country, Libya, Somalia, Congo, Burkina Faso, Egypt, South Africa, etc. Russia never killed any of African freedom fighter, but UK and USA have killed hundreds of African saviors, and thousands of our African freedom fighters are still languishing in different prisons and dungeons all over America. Who killed Marcus Garvey of Black Panther USA? Who killed Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso? Who killed Patrice Lumumba of Congo? Who killed Malcolm X of Black Panther? Who killed Muammar al-Gaddafi of Libya? Who killed Rev. Martin Luther King Jr. of African American? Who killed Tupac Shakur? Who killed Fela Kuti? Who killed Stephen Biko of Bantu in South Africa? Who killed Solomon Malangu? Who killed 5 million Biafrans? Etc. Those who did the aforementioned are the ones pushing the narrative that Russia has become the boogeyman. Those who colonize and for about 100 years refuse to share their technology with Africa want Africa to like those they like and hate.
Wow, that was a heavy little TikTok right there, no lie. What little clip we just watched, this is one of the points I was trying to make for the longest, like how us being all friendly to Ukraine, but Ukraine is full of Nazis and shit. And then us being all mean to Russia, and Russia the ones who stopped the Nazis multiple times. And like that video was just saying, they didn't colonize Africa and they wasn't in the Berlin Conference. Like I said, I went to doing some studying on this topic, and the more I was looking up, I was like, Russia historically don't fuck with Nazis, and they don't fuck with like slavery. Like they wasn't on that. They didn't fuck with that shit. They didn't like that shit.
Yeah, well, that just goes to show you, man, that anybody that's not a part of what the Western world wants, when with European and American, what they see as, anybody that's not against that. I mean, that anybody that's against that, you're automatically deemed bad. You're troublesome. You're a bad person. Sure enough, true enough, Russia has their own history, and what we've been taught, or come to understand. But at the end of the day, what country doesn't? But it's just crazy, like how they're so quick to, oh, let's pray for Ukraine. Oh, what Putin is doing is wrong, and this and this and that. But you guys aren't talking about the underlying issues that provoke this guy to protect his borders. You know what I'm saying? And yes, sure, true enough, you have his people over there that are saying, we don't want this, we don't want that, let's stop this. And a lot of it is because they have family there and they're afraid of their family dying, in the crossfire, but I just feel like, they're not putting the real reasons out there. They're pushing, they have a narrative, and that's what they're pushing, and they're pushing it hardcore, you know. They're pushing it and pushing it, and making the American people, oh, Putin's such a bad person, and and they know America has a soft heart when it comes to, well, let me say they have a soft heart for some, because these kids that got killed, they're like, oh, he deserves to be beheaded. He bombed the hospital. Where they're, say, man, look at all of the wars that are going on right now that America has started in other places because of greed, that are that they're not even talking about. And look at how many of those children are killed on a daily basis. Innocent women, men, and children. You know what I'm saying? That are killed on a daily basis. Let's talk about that, you know. But that's the thing that I hate about the society that we live in, bro. We pick and choose what's good or bad. No,
Right.
wrong is wrong, bro. I don't give a fuck how you look at it. Wrong is wrong.
Or which country it is or whatever. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Wrong
none of
is
that,
wrong.
none
Right
of
is
that
right.
matter.
Like, none of that shit matters, bro. Like,
Or a genocide against the Mozo coming back stronger than ever, unshackled by the great temptation in those fields. Democracy was once again replaced by the terror at the hands of a general who ruled their society. Police returned to the untouchable murderers that they'd once been, but it was all crueler somehow. The CIA's best plan for keeping the country in line was violence, and the more it slipped away, the more violence they inflicted to keep it in line. But identity's a funny thing, and it tends to grow with pressure. In the end, the crackdown only served to create the very problem it pretended to be fighting. The government they deposed wasn't communist. They were simply left of center, if that. But by twinning anti-imperialist thoughts as no different than communist thoughts, they convinced those peasants who hadn't even so much as heard a word of Marx to believe him. By 1960, guerrilla bands had formed in the countryside and were striking back against the government with violence. Although they barely killed 1 for every 100 they lost, they effectively shut the country down for business. It's hard to grow bananas in a country in ruin. So for all their years of terror and enslavement, the company had no real response to a complete social collapse. All they knew how to do was what they'd always done. And so in response to this unprecedented threat to their power, the puppet government took off whatever velvet they pretended to still have on those gloves and sent death squads roaming through the Mayan villages, breaking in doors and killing anyone they deemed a threat. It didn't matter if the people they killed were communist or just happened to own some land that a local rich guy wanted to steal. Their obituary always said terrorist. The civil war that
Their obituary always said terrorist.
followed would be the longest in the history of the Americas. It would last for the next 36 years, only truly ending in 1996. Although calling it a civil war implies that the country was divided, fighting itself, and for the most part that simply wasn't true. This was the violence of imperialism being brought by a puppet government against its own people. America's us. But when the beatings didn't increase morale, the system started to falter. The dictatorship might have been stronger than ever with its new American freedom from consequence, but the country beneath it was in ruins. Armed bands roaming the jungles, death squads killing workers in lieu of pay. It didn't matter that they'd won back their slaves. A civil war is a hard place to make money. It would be wrong to say that Guatemala alone collapsed the United Fruit Company, but it certainly didn't help. And as the country fell into chaos, their stock fell alongside. In debt and unable to keep control over the lands they'd stolen, United Fruit fell on its sword. Their name was so tarnished in the public eye that they had little choice but to be broken up and redistributed under new brands. But beyond that, little really changed except who got to be the us. Today, United Fruit exists under the name Chiquita. They still sell bananas and they still grow them in Guatemala. I personally buy them all the time. But the Mozos are all still there. They're working as they ever did. It's just at least the death squads have stopped. Since 1996, Guatemala has returned to a fledgling form of democracy. It's just with the quiet understanding that things can only go so far before they're going to get toppled. Because things here never got returned to the peasants. This country is still a banana republic. The United States is still an empire. We just stopped using those terms. Even the most imperialistic fight against slavery will always be a civil war, a war internal to ourselves, to every society we ever create. And in turn, it will be with us to our dying breath, because this is the trade we made for agriculture.
I don't know about that.
This is the temptation in our fields.
I like that line though, temptation in our
So,
fields.
what's a banana worth? Serious question.
Yeah, what is a banana worth? Is it worth all those people getting killed? So you can get it for a whole, a whole bunch of bananas for like a couple bucks.
Man, it just makes me wonder, like, did they truly need that much land to grow that many bananas back then and that time?
They
Like,
didn't.
did
He
they?
said in the video they had a huge amounts of land that they just didn't develop, and they wouldn't let the people. It was just sitting there because they didn't want to pay taxes on the property. So and they didn't want the people to use it. So they just want to own it and leave it. Fucking shitty ass motherfuckers, bro. Super shitty. It forces the people to work on the plantations, to work on the banana things. There's nothing else they can do. They can't own nothing. They don't have nothing.
Yeah. And then they don't get paid in real money. They get paid in vouchers that can only be used at United Fruit stores.
That shit crazy. Modern day slavery is what it is.
That shit.
It's crazy. I think a lot of people don't know about that kind of shit, so that's why I wanted to play that. So what do y'all think about it? We're gonna move on.
Bro, it's fucked up, and it's the same shit that they doing today. They've just gotten better at it. When it comes down to the wars, when it comes down to why we push over into other countries, there's always an ulterior motive. There's always a narrative, and they gotta stick to it. The shit that I feel like with that right there was, and before that was the start of what we're seeing today. It's being played out today. Like, that shit has already been on the books and wrote. It's got to be played out. No matter who you are, no matter how much you are for upholding integrity and being right, if you become president or get put in one of those positions of power and office over here in the United States, you have to go along with that narrative. You have to, it's on the books.
And everybody just oblivious. They just changed the names, like he was
What?
saying. They changed the
Yeah.
words. They changed the terminology. So, like slavery is over. Sharecropping, all that shit is over. That's in the past. Don't worry
That
about
shit.
it.
Yeah, bro. It's fucked up. I mean, it's truly fucked up. And if you think about all of the if you think about the shit that they're doing right now with the pandemics and all of the shit that they have been doing leading up to this, that old saying, history repeats itself. In listening and watching these videos over the past couple of weeks, if you don't have an eerie feeling that that's what they're trying to bring this world back to, then, in my opinion, something is wrong, because that's what they're doing. They're slowly but surely trying to bring the world back to it, but they're calling it the New World Order.
Yeah, ain't nothing new under the sun. That's what Pat would say if he was here. Curtis say, but I never thought about how much of today's demographic was actually built by slaves. And Native Americans. That's another thing. They try to act like the Aboriginals are gone. But you saw how repeatedly in this video he kept referring to those people as, Maya and other things. So it's like, that's another thing they've done. They made them invisible by changing their names and shit, ethnic identities and shit. So it's like what I'm saying about the southern border. That's the reason why I played this video, is because it's kind of related to the topic we've been talking about this week. The southern border is just another way that they use to oppress the Native American, the Aboriginals. Mainly, that's what it is. Like I say, Mexicans, most of them are Aboriginal peoples. These people in Guatemala, these are Aboriginal peoples. And the United States expansion west, Manifest Destiny, was God gave us this land. And basically we got to kill the Native Americans because they are the ones that really have right to that. So if we kill them, hide them, we don't see them, change their identity and forget about it. So don't never really deal with this fact that, this is their land.
Mhm.
Like, there's no argument. Uh, Curtis says, "Yep, Deuce is right. They want it that way, and we as blacks are helping." That's kind of sad but true, bro. Leave it to Curtis to make me
Yeah.
feel down about a subject I'm already talking. That's it's already depressing, Curtis. Damn, you just added
Uh,
another layer of depression on it.
it is. I want to say this here. Like my stance this whole week on migration and all of that stuff is pretty much still the same. But I'm not. I want people like, and I think, and I feel the same way about Brother Pat. But I can't. I'll let him say his piece on that. But I feel like the same way with him. You know, I have sympathy for these people because these people are my people. These people, they're just trying to get to what they feel as though is a better life. You know, they're seeking to get over here and try to, get to a better life or be able to provide for their family back home and things of that nature. And it's fucked up the way that they're treated, how they are pretty much invincible once they come here because they have to come here illegally. So they don't exist, so if something happens to them, like they're invisible. Like who is it? Okay, well,
That's
let's
exactly
just
it, and that's
let's
what
just
that's how they get
build this
exploited
box for them.
by. That's how they get exploited by the employers. It's all set up for that. You know, that's how they end up not getting to have proper health care. You know, all that stuff. You know,
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't be that way, and that initiative and that the way that they make it seem to the American people, the lies and making it seem like it's that these people are trouble. You know what it does. Like you say, it creates a fascism, type of mentality towards these people, and it creates hate towards these people. But at the end of the day, like I feel like there is a good amount of people exist that feels like that it's wrong, and want to do something or want to try to do something different. But I think a lot of us, dude, our hands are tied, and that may
yeah,
sound like a bullshit ass
we're
excuse.
caught in the system, and then he was explaining how the class above them didn't want to be in the fields, so they would fight for things to stay the same too. You know what I'm saying? Because like he was saying, explaining in the video, that they understand what it feels like to be out there in the fields, and they don't want that. So, and it's the same way over here in the States. It's the same way over in the States, and that's what I was trying to explain yesterday with the downward pressure. Like I can't really explain that. Like it's tough for me to find the words to explain how, like, the level above you, your job is to exploit the level below you, and the guys above you shit on you. Like they always say, shit rolls downhill. You know what I'm saying? Shit rolls downhill. The guy at the bottom is the one who takes all the shit. You know what I'm saying? He takes everybody's shit. You know? So the guy above him, he gets to give this guy shit because he's pissed because the guy above him been giving him shit. And it goes like that the whole way. And it's like each different level is pressing on the one below. And each level is also trying to move up to the level above them. So you constantly have this. That's why the whole thing with the American dream and climb the ladder, bro. Man, I used to be sold on that idea. I was sold on that idea for a long time, but I got to thinking about it more and more and more and more. And that is the hamster wheel. The ladder is the hamster wheel. The American dream is the hamster wheel.
Yeah,
That's how they get you on it.
yeah,
They sell you this shit. They sell you this dream. And then you don't care about your brothers and sisters. You don't care about the people that's below you. They say just look out for yourself and your family, and Do the best you can for them. And that's what everybody is doing. So that's the reason why we're all suffering.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyways,
that's true.
NT do. I think it's DUEX. I'm pretty sure it's that DUEX. King Chucky ENT DUEX. That's the backup page. That's where we're streaming live to tonight. And I need you guys to go subscribe to there so you can get the notifications that the live is coming on. Because I don't know how long it's going to be before I do any live streams on the main page. King Chucky NT DEUX, and you can find us on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, Anchor, Spotify, and Apple.